fam? I thank you for tuning in or digging in to the very first episode of the Digging in the Couch podcast with brother T.L. Branyan. And Digging in the Couch podcast is a podcast where we pull out things that we all tend to overlook, avoid, or hide. And throughout these videos, we will have certain times when we will go through loose change, which are small truths. While we're digging in the couch, sometimes we're going to go through lost items, which are deep truths. And then we're going to have random finds, which are different topics on faith, culture, politics, sports, music, etc. So now that that's the introduction, let's get to it. So what I found with digging in the couch today, so I found the story of Black female influencer Ashley Janae. Now, if anybody knows anything about Ashley Janae, she was known for being engaged to a white man while disparaging black men. You know, one of her famous disparaging comments was about how black men tend to embarrass, quote unquote, us each and every day. So let's talk about it. Here are my thoughts on this. So the first thing I want to say is people are entitled to like and to love whoever they want to like and whoever they want to love. I mean, you can't control that. I mean, when you look at how God made the world, even how he made the planets and stuff like that, he always tends to make a variety of things to display his beauty. There's not one type of animal. There's not one type of human being. You got male and female. There's not one type of tree, one type of flower. You got oceans, you got seas, you got different kind of birds. So God's beauty, his beauty is expressed, through variety, through diversity. So who's to tell somebody, first and foremost, that they can only date within their race, that black people can only date black people, white people can only date white people, Asians can only date Asians, and, you know, on and on and on and on. Now, if you would prefer someone in your race, there's nothing wrong with that neither. I feel like there's nothing wrong either way. You know, you like who you like, you love who you love. You know, you can come from where I come from, talk how I talk, but if you're doing things to show me that you're against me or that you're my enemy, it don't matter what color you are. You know, as they say, you know, just because we skin folk don't mean we kin folk, and vice versa. I may mess that saying all the way up, but you can get the gist of what I'm saying. So first and foremost, I just want to throw that out there, that people could like and love whoever they want to. You know, it's a free world, so to speak, when it comes to that. But just because you may prefer a type of person, or you may want to engage with another race even before your own, that doesn't mean that you have to go around belittling and disparaging your own people or other races. If you love somebody outside of your race, you like somebody outside your race, you want to date them, you want to be in a relationship with them, you want to marry them, spend the rest of your life with them, fine. But you don't have to do that to the chagrin of other people. It's just like people who are climbing the ladder, they'll do whatever. They'll lie on people, sabotage people, belittle people, disparage people in order to lift themselves up and put themselves on a pedestal. You don't have to do that. You know, if you're great at what you do, your greatness will speak for itself. You don't have to, you know, kick people while they down, talk bad about people, sabotage people. You don't have to do any of that in order for you to succeed. Same thing here. So I just want to put that out there, that people should be entitled to love and like whoever they want to. So now, next thing I want to go over is that they said it was a suicide. Me personally, I'm not buying that. I don't believe it was a suicide. Now, granted, you don't know what anybody could be dealing with at any given time. I don't care how much money they got, how many friends, likes, or followers they got, what family they come from. I don't care how handsome they are or how fine they are. You don't know what nobody's dealing with. And at the end of the day, you know, people can crash out and they can commit suicide and they can kill themselves. But for what I've been reading about this woman right here, I just don't think it was, I don't think suicide was the cause of her death. So to me, this is something that definitely should be investigated. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out that this was a homicide, because the likelihood of her hanging herself or killing herself at all is almost slim to none. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, But that's just my opinion. I think whatever happened, there was some foul play here, and it really, really needs to be investigated. This doesn't need to be swept up under the rug. So now the next thing I want to get to is the reaction of her death. Now, me as a black man, do I like the things that she said about us? Absolutely not. And even if I had, in which I have had bad experiences with black women per se, I'm not going to lump them all together and just say because I had some bad experiences with black women that they all the same. I'm not naive like that. I'm not ignorant like that because I hate when people, for example, lump all black people together. I mean, you got good seeds in every race and you got bad seeds in every race. That's just how it is, even though black people tend to get magnified more within the media and things like that because someone has an agenda. The powers that be has an agenda, but at the end of the day, all races have their good and they have their bad seeds. So I don't like what she said about black men. Even if I wasn't a black man, I would feel like, well, that's kind of tragic to think that every man within your race is an embarrassment to you. And then on top of that, you don't take it accountability how some of the black men may feel about the black women, because there's a lot of black women out here that's doing things that you could say is embarrassing to us or that's embarrassing to the race as a whole. But, that's another story for another day. So I find it unfortunate that she felt that way. Now, I don't know if she said that just to get likes and follows or to get the women that love to bash men on her bandwagon, to be monetized and make some money on social media, or if that's how she truly felt. But she put it out there on more than one occasion, so I'm just taking it at face value. That's how she felt, and that's quite unfortunate. But I believe that even though that's how she felt, and I don't like it, you should never celebrate anybody's death. Because you never know. You have done people wrong. You may have said things out your mouth, and it would be wrong for people to celebrate your death. And I know there have been figures within the history of mankind that we could probably all say, yes, this person was better off dead, like the Hitler, like Stalin, General Mao, and just so many other people that have a terrible history of just doing human beings wrong and just killing people in droves. A lot of us can sit back and say, well, they better off dead. And to those who are oppressed by these people, have been affected by these people, they probably can say, I'm going to celebrate their death. But just me being a person that I am, I'm not going to celebrate anybody's death. I come more from an aspect of, it was unfortunate that they lived the life that they live. And I just wish that they would have got their life right with God before they passed. And it probably is better for them not to be here on earth, but I'm not going to celebrate death. Because to me, that's almost like, it's just bad karma to me. And so we got to talk about this now. We got to talk about, is her death karma, or was it just an unfortunate tragedy? Me personally, I don't think it was karma. I think it was just an unfortunate tragedy. And I'm not going to say who I think did it. We all could probably point fingers to the person who we think did it, but I don't think it was karma. I don't think she deserved death because of how she felt. That'll be just like me saying, that just say maybe I got punched in the mouth by a police officer when I didn't need to get punched in the mouth. And, he physically hurt me or even traumatized me. And I go around saying, I hate all cops. Just because that man punched me in my mouth doesn't mean that all cops are like that. I believe most of them are like that, but that doesn't mean all cops are like that. So I'm not going to lump them all in one category. But just because that man punched me, I believe that, or I put like this, I may want to retaliate and do him harm back, but I don't think that warrants him dying just because he punched me. The same way if I went out here and just punched somebody, I don't feel like that warrant me dying. Now, if he tried to kill me and he ended up getting killed back, then to me, yeah, that may have warranted the quote, the proverbial death penalty, because you're trying to unjustly kill someone else, so you got killed back in self-defense. But outside of that, that's neither here nor there. I still feel like what happened to her wasn't suicide. I feel like it was homicide. I feel like it was murder. And I felt like even though what she said about black men was disparaging, I feel like she don't deserve that. And to me, it's sad that society is celebrating her death, whether it's male or female. You know, this woman still belonged to a family. This woman was still someone's daughter, still probably still somebody's sister, still somebody's cousin, maybe even somebody's auntie, who knows. But she's still a living, she was a living, breathing human. And sometimes people turn out to be one way, or uh, they morph into something, but as life goes on, they realize maybe that they was a bit cynical or a bit hateful or angry or resentful or bitter, I'm sorry. And God shows them this about themselves and they choose to repent. So who are we to say in this situation that her death was warranted and this is karma? You know, even when Kevin Samuels died, a lot of women celebrated, and you got a lot of men now saying, well, we didn't hear a lot of this from the women when Kevin Samuel died. And you're right, a lot of women did celebrate. A lot of celebrity women celebrated when Kevin Samuels died just because that man was telling the truth and they didn't want to hear it. They were wrong for that, no matter how much they despised him. And I feel like anybody who is celebrating this woman's death, whether they black, white, whether they male or female, I feel like they wrong. You're entitled to your opinion. I can't tell you how to feel, but I feel like you shouldn't celebrate anybody's death. And how we've come in society to accept that and think that that's cool without, even realizing that God don't like that. It just show you how callous that we've become as a society. And, and I guess you could say right now, this would be a deep truth. So this would be a lost item in the Digging in the Couch, legacy. So the deep truth is this. The deep truth is people are going to say and do things that we all don't like. People are going to say and do things that's hurtful. Now, in this aspect, she didn't do anything physically to anybody. So we're just going to say people are going to say things that's disparaging to us, that hit home, that's hurtful. But they have a right to do that. The same way you have a right to say the things that you have said to people that have hurt them. And just because somebody has hurt you verbally, in my opinion, does not warrant their death. And the deep truth is, whether we like it or not, we have to just accept it. We don't have to deal with that person. We don't have to call them up. We don't have to hang out with them. We don't have to deal with them in any case, in any matter. But the deep truth is, if you're celebrating this woman's death, that says more about you than it does about her. Regardless of how you feel about her dating a white man, or how you feel about her fiance, or what she said, if you're celebrating this woman's death, to me, that says more about you than it does about her. And I hope that you will realize that and look at yourself in the mirror and realize that's why you can't judge anybody, because while we sitting up, I'm just saying we for we's sakes, but while we sit up here judging this woman off of what she said, the ones who are celebrating her death, they need to judge themselves and take a look at themselves just as hard, because this woman ain't never coming back. You heard what she said about black men, about us embarrassing them. Guess what? You still waking up going on about your business. She may hurt your feelings. You may not like what she said, but you live to see another day. What happened to this woman? She's never coming back. Ever. She's gone. She's never coming back. Her family is devastated. They never going to see her again. They probably didn't even feel how she felt. That's just how she felt. So she's gone forever. So the deep truth is that to me, it's not karma. To me, it was an unfortunate tragedy. And what's even more tragic is that people are celebrating her death the same way when all these people, especially females, were celebrating Kevin Samuel's death. I know that man ain't hurt y'all that much to where y'all celebrating the death of this man. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So those are my thoughts on this. And I send my prayers to her family. I wish she didn't feel the way that she felt. But at the end of the day, she still was a living, breathing creature, a child of God made in his image and likeness. And I just pray, I pray for her family to have strength to this time. I pray they get down to the bottom of what happened so her family can get some justice. And I pray and I wish that people will stop celebrating this woman's death or anybody's death, especially when they haven't done any physical harm to you and yours, because I feel like we could do better than this. we could do a whole lot better than this. So, I thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Digging in the Couch podcast with Brother T.L. Brain, and Lord willing, there'll be a lot more of this to come. Like I say, this is the very first episode, so I'm rusty. I'm trying to find my way around this thing, so y'all just got to bear with me until I can get to where I need to be. But in the meantime, y'all stay blessed. I pray for you all households to stay blessed. And, it's a lot going on right now, and I just, y'all just got to keep your head up, stay strong. Thank you.